Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Konoha, Naruto who picks up Kage ninja fragments attributes. Chapter 61. Naruto heard this, nodded, and then asked with a smile, Kyuubi, have you ever played video games? Although there was no such thing in the era when Kyuubi was alive, through Naruto's body, he still knew that these things existed. I know, are you going to let me play video games so that I can lend you chakra? Kyuubi smiled coldly. If that's the case, then I can only say, Uzumaki Naruto, you are too naive. I am a tailed beast, and my experience is unimaginable to you. It can be said that no matter what you come up with, give me a video game and I won't be tempted. My will is as strong as steel, unshakable. There is no game in this world that can make my Kyuubi tempted. That might not be the case. Naruto did not deny that he wanted to use the game to let Kyuubi lend him chakra. However, Naruto said, since there is no game in this world that can interest you, are you interested in making your own game? Make a game yourself. Kyuubi was slightly startled. He had never thought of this, but what fun would it be to make a game by himself? At least, Kyuubi couldn't imagine what the benefits of making your own games would be. Anyway, the game isn't just a bunch of images slapped around. Naruto did not continue on this topic, but said, Kyuubi, to be honest, I hate you and hate your existence. Without your existence, I would not be facing this situation. But, I think you're a lot like me. So I hate watching you, like me, live such a useless life like you do now. Kyuubi, I don't want to change you, but I want to find a path that allows you to coexist with humans. A path that would allow him to coexist with humanity. In Kyuubi's long life experience, whether it was the Six Paths sage who created him, or later Uchiha Madara, Senju Hashirama, and the fourth Hokage, everyone believed that his power existed for people, threaten. Because of this, the Six Paths sage never thought about letting the Nine Tails coexist with humans, but that some people would recognize their tailed beasts in the future. Uchiha Madara regards him as a force and drives it at will. As for Senju Hashirama, although he is not as outrageous as Uchiha Madara, for Senju Hashirama, the existence of the Nine Tails is also a threat to mankind, so it needs to be sealed. No matter who it is, everyone is afraid of him. No matter whether he is strong or weak, whether they can defeat him or not, they all fear him as a chakra aggregate. And now, for the first time, someone said to him that he wanted to find a way for him to coexist with humans. In Kyuubi's view, as a Jinchuriki like he is now, and then waiting until the person who can understand him appears as the Six Paths sage said, it may be the only possibility for him to deal with humans normally. Now, though, Naruto wanted to find a new path for him. Do you trust him? How is this possible? It was impossible for Kyuubi to believe that someone else could do something that even the sage of Six Paths couldn't do. However, this man named Uzumaki Naruto was very curious about how far he could do it. Not that he believed he could do it, but wanted to see how far he could do it. Whatever you want, but I believe you will never be able to do it. When Naruto heard this answer, he suddenly laughed. Actually, I don't know whether I can do it. Even what I'm telling you now is just my plan. I don't know what can be done specifically. In fact, I don't know anything. However, I hope you can take a look at this. This is something that I have spent my whole life trying to achieve. Ninja domain. Naruto raised his right hand. Then, a flashing ball flashed in his hand. The growth of a ninja is accumulated through a lot of exercise. However, during the exercise process, the human body will be damaged, and it may even pose a threat to the body. Therefore, many ninjutsu are not achieved by talent, but by luck. That Namikaze Naruto may not have lived his life like the 6th generation Hinata or the Rinnegan Sasuke, killing enemies instantly and showing off his strength in a powerful way. He did not pursue the Hokage, nor did he pursue the stability of Konoha like the Rinnegan Sasuke, nor did he spend his whole life to get peace like Jiraiya, Pain or Uchiha Madara. His life seems to be far inferior to these people in terms of the purity of his will. However, he dedicated his time and energy to studying ninjutsu. If the 6th generation of Hinata and the Rinnegan Sasuke were the ones who received gifts from the 5th Hokage Orochimaru's research, then Namikaze Naruto is the one who inherited the 5th Hokage Orochimaru's ambitions and dreams. The field he studied was precisely to create a world where all ninjas could study ninjutsu without restraint. The original idea was derived from the chakra consciousness left in the body by the parents. Since chakra can have a certain degree of consciousness, it can exist in the human body. So, why can't we create a special world where chakra consciousness can exist? Because of this, Ninja God Realm came into being. Looking at the Kyuubi entering this world, Naruto was very confident that he would soon be fascinated by the power of this world. This world is also the truly precious thing in the memories that Naruto has fused. It is even so precious that even if he only fuses the memories and has not practiced much, he can easily display this ninjutsu. Nine Tails faced the ball of light thrown by Naruto, hesitated for a moment, and then entered. To be honest, he certainly didn't trust Naruto, but he didn't think Naruto would cheat on him either. Because this person, he is, the reincarnation of the person who inherited the old man's will. He might be annoying, but he wouldn't behave that way. The moment he touched the ball of light, Kyuubi couldn't help but narrowed his eyes and thought. Let me see, Uzumaki Naruto, whether the future you describe can be realized. However, it is impossible to imagine a game that would fascinate him, the Nine Lamas. After all, he, the Nine Lamas, had been honest and upright throughout his life and would not be deceived by external things. No matter how much entertainment, no matter how much fun, it was impossible to shake his mood where he just wanted to lie down and sleep lazily. Naruto Uzumaki, let me teach you what it means to have the luxury of a long life that is not shaken by external objects. A few days later, Naruto, hurry up, why is the ninja domain gone again? Hurry up, what's wrong with you kid? How can you suddenly withdraw your ninjutsu? Please let me in. Naruto was holding a small basin filled with his clothes for today. In the past, Naruto always made himself dirty. Even if the clothes were full of sweat smell, he would keep them for several days before changing them. However, after merging the memory of another Naruto, he now has the habit of changing his clothes every day. Naruto carried the clothes to the living room, looked at the sixth generation Hinata who was watching TV there, and suddenly asked, Hinata, do you need to wash your clothes? Sixth generation Hinata said, the underwear has been washed. No, I want to ask you if the Hokage robe outside has not been washed for a long time. Counting it down, it has been more than 10 days, and Naruto has not seen the sixth generation Hinata change that dress, and she often still wears it. This piece of clothing. No, this piece of clothing is made of fabric that cannot be changed or washed. There are pictures of Naruto-kun all over them. How else can I wash these clothes? The sixth generation Hinata was thinking in his mind. Naruto nodded and carried his clothes to the washing machine. At this time, the sixth generation Hinata's voice suddenly came, Naruto-kun, I haven't seen the ninjutsu you studied before. Can you let me see it too? Regarding Naruto's ninjutsu, the sixth generation Hinata had never seen Naruto use it in the previous world. That ninjutsu was actually still in the research stage. Therefore, although Naruto took it out and used it, in fact, this ninjutsu was just similar to the situation of the game's internal beta. The sixth generation Hinata was originally not interested, but Kyuubi's recent obsession with this ninjutsu made her a little curious about this ninjutsu. Naruto nodded slightly. As long as a part of the consciousness of chakra is separated, you can enter this ninjutsu. It can be said that it is a very easy and simple ninjutsu to use. If you want to learn, I can teach you, but I suggest you let Nine Lama teach you how to play this game first. On the third day after being exposed to this game, Kyuubi, who was originally angry and resentful towards Naruto, honestly told Naruto his real name, Kurama. Although Naruto had known his name for a long time, it was from that time that he was called Kyuubi instead of Kyuubi. Hey, but I want Naruto-kun to teach me. I have something more important, I'm sorry. Normally, Naruto would be willing to teach the sixth generation Hinata, but not recently. He was doing something very important recently. Although the sixth generation Hinata was a little disappointed, she still accepted it. Moreover, it is a bit exciting to think about letting a little chakra consciousness enter Naruto-kun's body. Naruto put the clothes in the washing machine and started washing them, then he returned to his room and took out the book. On the first page of the data about myself, a lot of new content appeared. Jinchuriki mode. Uzumaki Kushina, Mother Jinchuriki. The conditions for trial summoning are not met. Basic sealing technique progress 70/100. Namikaze Minato, Dad Jinchuriki. The conditions for trial summoning are not met. Progress of Flying Thunder God Technique 1/100th. Obviously, this Jinchuriki fragment is different from ordinary fragments. Of course, the most important thing is the scene Naruto saw when he got the fragment. The two people at that time were consistent with what he saw in the book, which meant that the two of them were dead. It's just that Naruto can't tell which world they belong to. In fact, from now on, they are more like Naruto's parents in this world. Although my parents said that, it was based on the fact that they thought they would integrate the corresponding memories. If it was parents who had not fused their memories, then even if his parents said that, Naruto thought he would definitely not be able to accept it. Just like Namikaze Naruto's parents, in today's Naruto's perception, they are indeed his parents. But if there are parents from other worlds, then Naruto thinks that if he does not have fused memories, he will definitely not be able to accept it. After all, no one can accept that they suddenly have an extra set of parents. But thinking about these is a bit far away now. It's actually not very far. The conditions for trial summoning of these Jinchuriki fragments are to master the corresponding ninjutsu, but it is not as difficult as imagined. After choosing to try the summons, relevant cultivation experience will be instilled. As long as you follow the experience and follow the steps, you can succeed in cultivation. Especially since Naruto has the ninja domain, he can practice it more quickly. Naruto felt that he should be able to complete his training in a day or two. But mother, in the past, Naruto might have been very happy, but recalling the experience of being punched a few days ago, he felt that he couldn't be happy. However, despite this, Naruto was the first to choose the Jinchuriki fragment of Uzumaki Kushina. Maybe he just needs to be beaten in the 5 elements. Naruto made a guess in his mind about his puzzling choice. After Naruto entered his spiritual consciousness, Kyuubi immediately came to contact him. However, Naruto's chakra is not enough for his own training. Where can he have so much chakra for the 9 tails? I have no chakra. Here it is, as much chakra as you want. Is it enough to give you this much? Kyuubi is also unambiguous, isn't it just chakra? He has plenty and gives as much as he wants. Naruto felt the silly son of the landowner showing off his wealth, and secretly cried for his poverty. He silently received the chakra, and then said, "That's enough, okay, continue, you can continue playing." Quote, Ninja God's domain, I'm here. Naruto thought emotionally that your style of painting has changed so quickly these days. As for what Kyuubi experienced, the 9 llamas who entered the Ninja God's domain were greeted by a boring scenery. Can such a vast white thing attract him? Who is the 9 llamas? How could such boring things attract him? Uzumaki Naruto, is this what you call a fun game? The game hasn't started yet. This ninja realm is similar to creating the scene you need with your own hands. Then, you can save these scenes and keep the same scenes the next time you enter. Of course, because it is a ninjutsu developed to help with training, the environment of this ninjutsu is very real, and it is a special scene simulated using chakra. This is his original function, and for 9 llamas, his function. Naruto had already prepared the relevant scene when planning before, so he just took out the scene at this time. Alright, then, an available map selection appeared in front of Kyuubi. This is a map I made especially for you. Kyuubi saw this and clicked in. Then, the scene that appeared was a bit strange. In the picture, it was a scene that Kyuubi was familiar with, yet felt strange at the same time. In this scene, according to Kyuubi's original memory, the fox's head was blown off by the first Hokage after Kyuubi escaped from Uchiha Madara's control. Then, the first Hokage said to Kyuubi from above, "Kyuubi, you are too dangerous." But at this time, the scene that appeared in front of Kyuubi was a bit subtle. The first Hokage was half kneeling on the ground, while Kyuubi stood in front of the first Hokage and said from a high position, "Hashirama, you are too dangerous." The image played several times and then disappeared. What followed was a line of text that even Kyuubi could understand, the legend of the Kyuubi during the Warring States period. Immediately afterwards, Kyuubi found himself in a place surrounded by huge trees. There are some nests around this place, and in the nests, there are little foxes that look very similar to Kyuubi, except that they are not as big as Kyuubi. "Brother Kyuubi, are you finally awake?" Kyubi looked over in confusion and saw a fox that looked somewhat similar to him but a little smaller. Brother, he is dead. As these words began, Kyubi gradually learned what was going on here from this Kyubi who was one size smaller than him. This is the world of tailed beasts, a world filled with many powerful chakra aggregate creatures, of which 9 powerful tailed beast families are the most powerful, ranging from 1 to 9 tailed families. Among these families, the 9-tailed and 1-tailed 2 families are the most powerful. The tailed beast family is the most important. The 2 families are often hostile and confrontational with each other because of the huge gap in the number of tails between them. The Kyubi family is naturally one of the 2-tailed beast families. Although this setting has an inexplicable sense of immediacy, for some reason, Kyubi gradually accepted it. As for why, Kyubi looked around. Besides him, there were many tailed beasts, and he gradually came up with some different ideas. It turns out that such a world can still exist, a world where in addition to their 9-tailed beasts, there are thousands of tailed beasts. However, Kyubi can still distinguish the difference between reality and fantasy. It is impossible for him to forget that this world is only some virtual things after all, not real. Therefore, even if he finds it interesting, he will never indulge in it. Virtual things are regarded as existing in reality. They are false, not real living beings. However, what would be the state of human beings in such a world? While Kyubi was confused, he came to a creek. At this time, a tailed beast with a tail appeared in front of Kyubi. If it were in the past, the 9 tails would definitely despise such a tailed beast. But now, in a world where everyone is a tailed beast and there are thousands of 1 tails, Kyubi suddenly feels that his contempt is not really needed. After all, if he really wanted to despise, then there would be many tailed beasts that he would despise, so many that he would not have to do anything else just to despise them. Moreover, after getting along carefully, Ju-wei felt that this one was still a bit cute. Gradually, Ju-wei became friends with this one. The two chatted a lot. Even though Kyubi clearly knew that this was a virtual world, he still talked to Kyubi about the peace of this world. The tailed beast families fight endlessly for territory, and there is irresolvable hatred for each other. However, the newborn child died soon after birth. In this world of Kyubi, he has already lost a younger brother, and Aikibi also has a younger brother who has died. The two of them were dissatisfied with this era. They decided that one day, they would build a place where the tailed beasts could coexist. In that place, young tailed beasts can go to school, and they will establish a special academy. They do not have to go directly to the battlefield at a young age, which can help them increase their chances of survival. However, with the contact with this tail, Kyubi gradually realized something. Their 9 tails family is hostile to the 1 tails family. Even when he returned to the clan, he would hear from time to time about the battle with the Kazuo clan. During the battle, their 9 tails family suffered heavy losses. Even though it was a virtual world, Kyubi gradually began to identify with this place and his family. In the family, the images of the 9 tails who are similar to him will appear clearly in front of his eyes one by one. Kyubi gradually felt that he was a little bit into the drama. Moreover, it is gradually difficult to distinguish between the so-called virtuality and reality. Is the world he lives in now really virtual? Is the world he knew before really reality? He didn't know, but at least at this moment, he wanted to protect the 9 tails family. But equally, he didn't want to fight with his friend Aikibi. In the midst of confusion, struggle, and hesitation, the relationship between Kyubi and this tail was known to the tailed beasts of the family. As the two beasts met again, Kyubi knew that he had to make a decision. He is a tailed beast that has survived for countless years, an old antique. Therefore, he is a very decisive tailed beast. Perhaps Aikibi is his indispensable friend, but the Kyubi family is equally or even more important to him. As for changing the world, Kyubi thinks this is impossible. Their power is too small, and Kyubi is not the kind of person who is very ambitious and has great ambitions. His whole life was just passive acceptance. This time, it will be no exception. If it were a choice between the two, Kyubi would already have a choice. With this thought in mind, Kyubi decided to end their fate today. Let me and you end the friendship between us that should not exist. Kyubi looked at Aikibi in silence and thought at the same time. Shukaku, actually, I am the tailed beast of the Kyubi family. Kyuubi is not the kind of person who likes to play tricks, he has shown his identity openly and honestly. However, unexpectedly, Ikibi said, "Nine Llama, actually I have known about it for a long time. After all, you are a tailed beast with 9 tails. It is impossible for me not to notice it." These words shocked Kyuubi deeply. Ikibi, is he really just an existence in the virtual world? Kyuubi is getting more and more confused. If such a real existence is also a virtual existence, then what is the difference between this world and reality? Kyuubi originally came here to settle the relationship with Ikibi. Who knows, before he finished speaking, he heard Ikibi continue. "Kyuubi, although I think you are my friend, our status, it is destined that we cannot continue to be friends. Just yesterday, one of my younger brothers was killed by the tailed beast of your 9-tailed family." Having said this, a look of hatred appeared in Yiwei's eyes. "Kyulama, it is impossible for me to forget the hatred between me and your Juwei family. Therefore, today, our friendship will end. From now on, when we meet, we will not be friends, but enemies fighting on the battlefield as the tailed beasts of the 1-tailed family and the tailed beasts of the 9-tailed family." What he wanted to say was spoken by Ikibi, which made Kyuubi a little uncomfortable, but what Ikibi wanted to say was also what he wanted to say. "You are right, I also think." At this moment, 2 huge tailed beasts suddenly emerged from the forest. They are Kyuubi's father in this world and Ikibi's father respectively. Kyuubi subconsciously glanced at Ikibi at this time, and he realized that their identities had been revealed, and it was very likely that the other party would be in great danger today. From this distance, they only need to delay each other a little to get their father to this position. However, that also means that the other party is very likely to be captured or killed. At this moment, although Kyuubi had clearly decided to end his relationship with Ikibi, he still couldn't help but stepped forward and pretended to attack Ikibi, but in fact he pushed the opponent behind. To his surprise and expectation, Kazuo also made the same decision. The 2 beasts shouted at the same time as if they were about to attack. Shukaku, 9 llamas. However, their attacks did not delay each other, but pushed each other towards each other's father. At this moment, Kyuubi realized that maybe they were opposed to each other, but at least at this moment, they both regarded each other as their friends. The battle did not continue, and the result of the battle was only a stalemate. Both Kyuubi and Ikibi went back, and since then, they have not met in private situations. Every time they met, they were on the battlefield, fighting and fighting each other. After that, they became the leaders of their respective families, met on the battlefield, and fought. During the fighting, Kyuubi gradually realized the threat of war to the ethnic group. Their huge Kyuubi family had many young children who might have just learned to walk or speak, but they were attacked by the 1-tail family and died. Kyuubi wanted to hate the Ikibi family, but he found that, rather than hating him, he wanted to reduce the number of deaths among his people. Unreasonable hatred cannot reduce the death of the tribesmen. At the first moment, they may be smiling in front of them, jumping in front of them, calling themselves the 9 llamas, but the next moment, they are dead, lost their lives. He fell to the ground, motionless. This was the first time Kyuubi realized that their tailed beasts were also mortal. As aggregation of chakra, their tailed beasts themselves are very difficult to die. However, in this world, in this tailed beast world, tailed beasts will die. At this moment, Kyuubi suddenly realized what he wanted to pursue. He wanted to build a place where the tailed beasts could coexist with each other and no longer fight for conflicts and cause unnecessary sacrifices. But, does such a place really exist? Kyuubi has experienced the human world and knows that similar scenes also exist in the human world. And in that world, humans couldn't end the war. Could he do it in this tailed beast world? Although he was skeptical, for the first time, Kyuubi became curious and inquisitive for the first time. In the past, he was just a tailed beast who took things as they came. As far as he is concerned, the only individuals he can have a relationship with are the other 8 tailed beasts and the old man. Even for the old man's 2 sons, he never had strong feelings. However, perhaps only the old man can make Kyuubi want to understand his affairs. Although the other 8 tailed beasts are similar to brothers, their relationship with each other is very bad. Because there is no existence related to him and no goal, he naturally does not think about what to do. This is the Kyuubi of the past. But now, Kyuubi began to think. In such a world, what can he do? At this moment, Goldfinger appeared, or should be said, a new interface appeared in front of him. Renovation mode. Juwei looked at the strange mode interface in front of him and opened it curiously. In this interface, Kyuubi discovered that he could add something to the world, just like a creator god. This model touched Kyuubi very much. If it were him before, he would definitely not have much impression of this model. After all, in the final analysis, these settings are just like using yin-yang dun to create something. He has also seen the old man play it, and it is not fun. But at this moment, Kyuubi began to think deeply. What changes will his actions bring to his world? What is missing in this world? After a moment of silence, Kyuubi began to think. After a period of thinking, Kyuubi finally had an idea. A fiery light flashed in the Nine-Tails' eyes. Let me use this godlike power to bring peace to this world, to bring peace to the tailed beasts. Ikibi, let me realize your peace. Brothers, you will no longer have to fight for the death of your clan members. Worry, father, you can also put down your burden. In this world, everything Kyuubi feels, comes into contact with, and learns about. Finally at this moment, he pushed a little. I want to end the warring states period in this disgusting tailed beast world. Kyuubi said firmly, and then prepared to start transforming the world. He has a comprehensive plan. Perhaps his peace, in terms of results, failed to materialize even if the plan succeeded. But, so what? If you do nothing, you haven't started anything. Work hard. He must also work hard like that brat named Uzumaki Naruto. This was the thought that came to Kyuubi's mind. World, I'm here. Just then, he went offline. Returning to the dark spiritual world, Kyuubi still looked confused. Where are his Kyuubi brothers? Where is his Kyuubi dad? Where are his nine-tailed clan people? What about his rivals, the Ikibi family? Where is his opponent Ikibi Shukaku? Where did you go? Where did you go? Where did they go? What about the tailed beast world? Why can't I get in? Doesn't he still want to achieve peace? What about his efforts? What's his plan? Why are you back? By the way, that's the ninja domain created by Naruto Uzumaki. By the way, that world is virtual. By the way, everything in that world exists to extract his chakra. After Kyuubi suddenly realized what had happened, he gradually calmed down. Calm down, 9 llamas, you cannot be attracted by the feasting of that world. You are one of the 9-tailed beasts, an aggregation of chakra, a powerful creature, and the 9 tails that have lasted for a long time. You shouldn't, yet, Kyuubi suddenly thought. He left like this. In that world, would his brothers be killed by the hostile One-Tail family, and would his 9-tails family be destroyed by the One-Tail family? After all, losing his 9-tailed family was equivalent to losing a powerful tailed beast that could turn the tide of the war. Is it really okay for him not to go back? Kyuubi felt in a dilemma. One side is your own self-esteem. On the other side is everything in that virtual world. He knew that as long as he told Uzumaki Naruto, the other party would definitely let him in again. However, his self-respect, his dignity told him that he couldn't do this, absolutely couldn't do this, as this would satisfy the brat named Uzumaki Naruto. What should I do? Kyuubi was lying on his stomach on the cold ground, but he couldn't fall asleep. In the virtual world, he sleeps on a clean bed, is provided with food every day, chats with his tribe, has the admiration of his younger brother, and has the expectations of his father. But here, there is nothing. Alone, lonely, cold, and empty. In this world of nothingness, there is only himself. Kyuubi discovered that in the past, he could fall asleep even in that prison, but now he was so lonely that he couldn't sleep because there was no one to talk to or chat with. It was obvious that the space he was in now was even more empty. So why is this? In this spiritual space, there is no concept of time and the weather does not change. It is impossible to feel cold, nor to feel the sky getting dark. Since the light source doesn't change, why does he feel this way? Kyuubi didn't know either. He couldn't explain why. He just felt more and more uncontrollable loneliness. So lonely, so lonely. Did he always endure this situation? How had he survived before? What does he usually do to pass the time? Oh, it's sleep. Hey, but since you have time to sleep, why don't you spend time with your tribe, the 9 tails with your family? Why don't you go fight with your good friends? Oh, he used to have no tribesmen, and no friends. So lonely, so lonely, so lonely, I don't even have anyone to communicate with. Had he actually been living in such a terrifying place before? I really want to go back to that place where there are beds. I really want to go back to that place where there are people. I really want to go back to that place where I have my family. I really want to go back to that place where I have my friends. But no, he is the Kyuubi, the aggregate of chakra, and the boss of the nine-tailed beasts. He has his own pride, he has his own self-esteem. It's not allowed, it shouldn't be. However, speaking of it, whether it is pride or self-esteem, what is the use of that kind of thing? Kyuubi suddenly thought like this. He suddenly realized that whether it was pride or self-esteem, it seemed to be of no use. Can he talk to pride? Can you still fight with self-esteem? It won't work. I do not know how long it has been. After some struggle, Kyuubi's faint voice reached Naruto's ears. Naruto Uzumaki, let's make peace. I admit that it was my fault. Let me work hard with you to realize a future where tailed beasts and humans coexist. Lost. Kyuubi admits his defeat. The loneliness and coldness in his heart finally made him let go of his pride and choose to make peace with Naruto. Kyuubi couldn't imagine how he would survive in a world without the ninja domain. How can he live alone in such a sealed space? He could only look at the outside world through Naruto, unable to communicate. Kyuubi thought this was a completely unimaginable hell. In this regard, although Naruto felt strange about the performance of the Kyuubi, he did not feel very strange about the abilities of the ninja god realm. The efforts that Naruto in that world had put into this ninjutsu were not only similar to the infinite moon destruction, it's just the effect. If infinite moon is a non-interactive, happy world where you can do whatever you want, then Ninjago created a world that is close to reality. All the creatures inside are formed through simulated behavior. Maybe they can't perfectly reproduce the actions of the original version, but they will change according to the changes, and have an action pattern that is close to the original version. They will change with the changes. This is the power of this ninja domain. Inside, if you create a powerful life entity, you will even be beaten. In it, if you create a submissive wife but doesn't come home every day, you may even be cuckolded. In it, if you create a friend and care about him, he may even find an opportunity to drug you. This is such a real and wonderful world. However, what Namikaze Naruto wanted to create was exactly this kind of ninjutsu. It was obviously not very lethal, and the level of the ninjutsu was not very high, but it had a very high value. If it is a false world where you can do whatever you want, then it cannot be used to learn ninjutsu, research ninjutsu, or develop ninjutsu. Naruto did not embarrass Kyuubi and reached a reconciliation and consensus with him. Of course, for the time being, although Kyuubi had said that he wanted to achieve coexistence with humans, Naruto only proposed a transaction model with Kyuubi to use the ninja domain to borrow chakra, and did not agree with him. In fact, Naruto didn't even think about taking the initiative to change Kyuubi's living conditions. Naruto just changed some environments accordingly, and then let Kyuubi think and work hard on his own. It is not to force Kyuubi to change, nor to actively cater to Kyuubi, but to let Kyuubi find a way to change himself. This was the third way Naruto chose to get along with Kyuubi. At least, Kyuubi has indeed gradually stepped out of his strange circle, and is no longer indifferent to external affairs. He began to realize the impact that his existence might have on the outside world, even if this importance was only for the tailed beast world in the ninja god's domain for the time being. However, this is a good start. After Naruto recalled the changes in Kyuubi in the past few days, he suddenly called out to Kyuubi, "Kurama, I have a mission, do you want to take it?" No, I'm busy. I don't have time to take on the so-called mission." Kurama rejected Naruto's request without looking back. He was also preparing to enter the world of tailed beasts. How could he have free time to take on the so-called mission? Naruto heard this and asked again, "If you can help me complete this task, then I will help you activate a new special mode, how about it?" 9 Llamas asked curiously, "New special mode?" "Correct." "Okay, the old man promises you." Llama is still very curious about what other tricks this ninja domain has. When Naruto saw that 9 Llama agreed, he explained his request. In fact, he asked 9 Llama to help bring the 6th generation chakra consciousness body to study it. After Naruto agreed, he returned to reality. Originally, he was preparing to practice, but suddenly, he frowned slightly. Ninja God's Domain. Naruto always felt that this jutsu had an inexplicable sense of déjà vu. Then, Naruto suddenly had a guess in his mind. He took out the book and compared it with the Ninja God's Domain, and came up with a somewhat incredible idea. If we look at the formation of these so-called parallel worlds, is it actually the Ninja God's Domain, the prototype of a parallel world like this? There is an existence that I don't know what it is like. He created something like Ninjago. And I am a creature from a certain world in this thing similar to the Ninja God's Domain. Then, for some reason, I have the ability to summon people out of here. But why me? Naruto shook his head, not thinking about things that had no clue at all for the time being. His eyes flashed with enthusiasm. If the sixth generation Hinata was here, then she would find that this was the face that often appeared on the face of her teacher, the fifth generation Hokage Orochimaru. Expression on. Although becoming Hokage is Naruto's goal, it is not the whole of his life. Now, Naruto feels that he can find a goal that is both challenging and charming. Can you turn the Ninja God's Domain into a real existence similar to reality? Then, summon the people inside. Naruto murmured. If he could really do such a thing, then it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say he was a god. But the problem is, it's really possible for him to do such a thing. In the book, Kage once created black Zetsu and also transformed creatures like white Zetsu. Therefore, it is entirely possible to do these things using yin-yang escape. Creation constitutes the planet, creates life, and deduce its changes. Yin-yang escape can achieve the first two, but it cannot deduce the process of life changes, but Ninja God Realm can do it. If this can really be done, then Naruto is convinced that he will not only surpass the Sage of Six Paths and Kage Otsutsuki, but will even become a very special being. But, it's too far to think about this now. The goal is ambitious, but it is also very difficult to achieve. This is something that Naruto may not be able to achieve in his lifetime. Naruto didn't aim too high. Now, he would just slowly improve his strength bit by bit. Moreover, the ninja domain still needs further improvement. Naruto knows that he cannot deduce countless worlds by himself. Therefore, Naruto's mind showed the figure of Kyuubi, followed by the figure of 6th generation Hinata. Putting an individual into the ninja domain and letting them develop and deduce, this is his current plan. Then, Naruto used the ninja god's domain to record the impact of these people, so that he could get more and more possibilities of deducing the planet. When Naruto had this idea, the book in his hand suddenly started turning the pages, and stopped when he reached the last page. This page was originally blank, but now some words gradually emerged. First main line space. Candidates who can enter. Uzumaki Naruto, you can enter by collecting 10 first main line space character fragments, the current number of eligible fragments, 3 Orochimaru. Second main line space. Candidates who can enter. Naruto Uzumaki, you can enter by collecting 10 first main line space character fragments, the current number of eligible fragments, 0 Uruka. Third main line space. Candidates who can enter. Uzumaki Naruto, you can enter by collecting 10 first main line space character fragments, the current number of eligible fragments, 0 9 Llama. Although there are many main line spaces marked, among them, only the candidates who can enter these 3 main line spaces except Naruto are clear. The candidates for other main line spaces behind Naruto are all question marks. Naruto continued to analyze while reading. The first main line space is Orochimaru, and there are 3 fragments. It is not difficult for Naruto to guess that this is probably the world where the 6th generation Hinata lives. The second main line space and the third space have unknown conditions and belong to a world that Naruto does not know. Only, Naruto turned back to the first page, looked at the 2 fragments on it, and suddenly showed a happy expression. These 2 fragments do not belong to the main world, which means, I am afraid they belong to this world. As for why they exist in this form, Naruto cannot explain. Of course, Naruto knew that this sudden change started when he decided to do this, which made him feel that this book was actually to guide him towards creating a parallel world. But guesses are just guesses after all, and he won't take them completely seriously. After all, the world doesn't revolve around him. As for the main world, Naruto is thinking about whether to put people into it. Orochimaru, Kyuubi and Iruka can all be thrown in, but Naruto eliminated Orochimaru first, followed closely by Kyuubi and Iruka. Although Naruto could trust Iruka, he didn't feel comfortable telling him this kind of thing. As for Kyuubi, Naruto felt that it still needed to be observed, so to sum up, these people could not be put in for the time being. The safest thing is actually to wait for Naruto to gather enough pieces and go in by himself. Naruto flipped through the book again and put it away after finding no other changes. As for the candidates he put in, he actually had a plan in mind. After that, Naruto will open a second map to Kyuubi. This map will be the world that Kyuubi has experienced since ancient times. Depending on Kyuubi's actions towards this world, Naruto will consider whether to release him into it. After the 6th generation of Hinata separated a part of his chakra consciousness and entered it, Kyuubi also saw the trump card that Naruto originally used to deal with him. Even though the opponent only had a part of the chakra, Kyuubi still felt an unfathomable power. Those eyes must have something to do with the old man's younger brother. Kyuubi restrained her thoughts and introduced the ninja domain to Hinata, the 6th generation. Of course, what Kyuubi and 6th generation Hinata entered was his map of the tailed beast world. Different from before, the tailed beast world has undergone great changes at this time. After returning to this world, Kyuubi brought endless wealth and chakra to the world. After the resources were inexhaustible, although there were still disputes between them, compared with before, the disputes were indeed decreased. Today's competition is more focused on the competition for population, with different families competing to absorb more tailed beasts. Now the world is divided into 9 parts. The 9 tailed beast families jointly created different tailed beast gathering places. Confront, compete, and form alliances with each other. Unfortunately, Kyuubi failed to gain mutual understanding with Ikibi in this world. However, Kyuubi, who has experienced many things in this world, actually knows that although they are similar to tailed beasts, they are actually just bionic tailed beasts and not real. If possible, Kyuubi would rather have such a world exist. In the process of gradually building this world, Kyuubi gradually developed a little ambition. One day, he will create a world like the tailed beast world. Kyuubi wants to find a way to allow the tailed beasts to reproduce and create a clan. Only in this way can such an opportunity be realized. Kyuubi planned to follow the human reproduction method and find an opportunity to go to his brothers and try one by one to see if he could reproduce small-tailed beasts with them. It is precisely because of this idea that Kyuubi gradually developed a good relationship with Naruto. This is his trick. If you have a good relationship with Naruto, one day, you can ask him to help find other tailed beasts, and then find an opportunity to release them, and then kill them. This is basically the idea of Kyuubi. One day, I must create a real 9 tails family that belongs to me. First of all, start by killing my brothers. Kyuubi secretly made up his mind. Since only 9 of them are tailed beasts, they should be the Adam and Eve of the tailed beast world. However, Kyuubi still has some regrets. Although everyone is a chakra aggregate, they are not more similar existences after all, and there may be reproductive isolation. What if there was another 9 tails chakra aggregate? By the way, the other half of my chakra seems to have been taken away by the 4th Hokage. Can you find an opportunity to dig out the body of the 4th Hokage, free the other half of me, and then kill him? Maybe the old man from Yin and the old man from Yang can really create the 9 tails family. However, these are just Kyuubi's own imagination after all. After all, the 4th Hokage is dead, and his other half of chakra is probably really gone. Kyuubi was thinking about this, and the 6th generation Hinata on the other side was also thinking about it. Wherever fox fur flies, body odor will continue to grow. Body odor will continue to spread throughout the village and make newborn foxes stink. Welcome to my 9-tailed village. The 6th generation Hinata was shocked by what he saw. What the hell are these? Why so many Kyuubi? And isn't this the will of fire? Why has it become the will of the fox now? The 6th generation Hinata felt that his heart had been hit 100 times, and he was speechless. The leaf village has become the 9-tailed village, the will of fire has become the will of the fox, and there are several fox-headed rocks on top. It's hard to tell which fox is which. Kyuubi, what's going on in this world? This is the ninja realm. Kyuubi said this with a hint of admiration for Naruto. It can be said that Naruto is indeed the only genius ninja he has ever seen. He is even more powerful than the second Hokage. At least, Kyuubi knew that a ninjutsu like this would be an unimaginable treasure even for other ninjas. Immediately afterwards, Kyuubi began to introduce this ninjutsu to the 6th generation Hinata. Close to the real world, a world you can create yourself. The more the 6th generation Hinata listened, the brighter his eyes became. She was almost certain that this ninja god's domain was definitely more perfect than Naruto-kun's ninjutsu that she knew. It was probably not developed by the Naruto-kun of the timeline she knew. At least, if this is the ninja god's domain, the 6th generation Hinata can think of some more naughty operations. The 6th generation Hinata had some small desires in her heart. Then she asked, Kyuubi, if I create the map by myself, will it take a lot of time? It doesn't seem possible to use a certain map to make your own transformation. But if you can directly invest different chakras like us, then it will be simpler. Because the Kyuubi's transformation mode actually came from this. Even if it were not restricted by Naruto, the Kyuubi could still transform and correct the creatures inside to a certain extent. Using this method to transform it, Kyuubi thought it would be a fairly simple matter. The 6th generation Hinata turned her eyes slightly, and then continued to learn about the ninja domain. Hinata, this is the way of training in the ninja domain. In the past few days, the 6th generation Hinata suddenly asked Naruto about the training methods of the ninja god realm, and Naruto taught her one by one. After all, this was not something that needed to be hidden from her. Moreover, it was rare that he could help the other person, so Naruto still felt a sense of accomplishment. It took the 6th generation Hinata a day or two to learn this ninjutsu, which was not difficult to master. Although it may not be possible to achieve the level of strength like Naruto, it is enough for the 6th generation Hinata's plan. Evening, Naruto returned to the room. He checked the time and found that it was still early. This discovery made him feel very strange. He had recently begun to learn to save chakra for more effective training. But in the past few days, he found that his chakra calculations were always wrong, and he used it up earlier than he expected. Naruto felt a little strange, but he didn't doubt him. After all, this was chakra and not something else. There was no way anyone would target chakra to steal it, right? Naruto flipped through the book and found nothing new, so he lay down to sleep. At night, the door opened, and the 6th generation Hinata came here quietly. She floated in the air without making a sound, then came to Naruto, touched him gently, and closed her fingers to grab him. A piece of substantial chakra was captured by her. Then, the 6th generation Hinata grabbed 2 handfuls of chakra and left. Go back to your room. The 6th generation Hinata looked at the chakra in her hands, and then entered her ninja realm. Compared with the extremely real world of Kyuubi, this world is obviously not that real. In other words, the scene is too small and the characters are too few. However, for the 6th generation Hinata, this was enough. The 6th generation Hinata transformed a ball of chakra she captured, and finally created a new chakra-conscious life form in her ninja domain. This life is Naruto in school uniform. In addition to this Naruto, there are dozens of different styles of Naruto in this world. These were created by the recently stolen Naruto's chakra from Hinata the 6th generation. The 6th generation Hinata took out his camera and started taking pictures. 15-year-old Naruto-kun and 30-year-old Naruto-kun stand together, thank you. Sister Naruko-chan and brother Naruto-kun stand together, thank you. Wow, that's great. How come there is such a great ninjutsu? It's good to be alive. I love it, I love it. I will blow up this ninja realm. Although these photos cannot be taken out, to the 6th generation Hinata, this is equivalent to a collection of photos that will never be leaked. Of course, it's not that the 6th generation Hinata doesn't want to do other things. It's like letting Naruto-kun's chakra-conscious life form feed him, or asking Naruto-kun's chakra-conscious life form to say, I love you. But, I'm too shy, so I can't do it. Ah. For several days in a row, Naruto felt a little weak when he got up. He murmured doubtfully, I'm so young and I didn't stay up late. I shouldn't have kidney deficiency. And as a Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, his body should be quite strong, and he should not have a physical condition such as kidney deficiency. Although Naruto was confused, he still went to the hospital for a checkup as a habit. Nothing. The doctors in the hospital are basically ninjas, so they don't have much sense of discrimination against Naruto. Their eyes are relatively calm, and their attitude is just a normal doctor's attitude towards patients. Maybe you're a little stressed. Are you feeling a little stressed? Thank you, doctor. Naruto was about to leave the hospital when a person walked towards him. Naruto's eyes moved slightly. The person coming was dressed as a root organization. However, the other party didn't seem to notice Naruto and walked straight over. Naruto's eyes stayed on her for a while, and he frowned slightly. For some reason, this person always gave him a sense of familiarity, as if he was Sasuke. But how could Sasuke dress up as a woman? Naruto shook his head and returned home. Today, he should be able to complete the practice of sealing. Mom, that should be my mother, right? Naruto thought with a hint of trepidation. Sasuke with the Rinnegan eye watched Naruto leave. After a long time, he looked back and entered Danzo's ward. Master Danzo, you're here. Kindness. Samsara eye Sasuke looked at Danzo, who was gradually trusting him, but was somewhat wary of his unknown identity, and murmured in his heart, the plan is almost over. In the past few days, he had transformed into Uchiha Yuzu, pretending to be a member of the root organization, and gradually approached Danzo. Although the process was a bit tortuous, he gradually gained the other party's trust. As for the identity of Uchiha Yuzu, it comes from the disguise of his older brother in this world. In order to avoid his pursuit, his brother in that world once hid his identity in women's clothing. But in the end, because the Sharingan was exposed, Sasuke, the Rinnegan, found him. Now, Sasuke with the Rinnegan eye is using this identity that no one in Konoha knows to quietly approach Danzo. In his plan, this identity will not be exposed until the last moment. Rinnegan Sasuke thought about this in his mind, and then said, Danzo-sama, although I am sorry, starting from tomorrow, I can no longer come to the hospital to take care of you. When Danzo heard this, he showed a confused expression. He originally thought that Yuzu was approaching him for some purpose, but now it seems that Yuzu is not like this. Could it be that he came simply to take care of him? No, that can't be the case. She must be plotting against me. She wants to use this to get me to keep her. Danzo's mind wandered. No matter what Yuzu's purpose was, if she didn't let her stay, she wouldn't be able to achieve it. I know, I will let the root organization send others to take care of me. Yes, Danzo-sama. Danzo then observed Yuzu for a whole day, but found nothing unusual, which he couldn't help but think about. Could it be that she really has no other agenda and is here just to take care of me? No, impossible, impossible, impossible. Danzo refused to believe that this person named Yuzu, as a member of the Uchiha clan, had no agenda when he suddenly accepted the commission. With their current relationship with the Uchiha clan, it is impossible for the other party to do such a good thing. Danzo was still extremely wary. However, Danzo didn't notice anything unusual about you until she left. It wasn't until the next day that Danzo discovered that she had really left like this. Danzo murmured in confusion. Could it be that I really misunderstood her? No, she is from the Uchiha clan, I can't be fooled. At this moment, there was a noise at the door, and Danzo became alert. When he came to the door, he saw a familiar female figure leaving in a hurry. At this time, there was only one glass bottle left on the ground. Danzo looked at the glass bottle with some vigilance, only to find that there wasn't anything dangerous hidden in it, but some paper cranes. There are many paper cranes. Giving something like this to the hospital. Danzo remembered the paper cranes and indeed had a wish to pray for the patient's recovery. However, how could anyone like him, who was mixed up in the darkness of Konoha, be grateful to him? That's right, Danzo is hidden in the dark and unknown. Only the top brass of Konoha know what he has done. He doesn't have to take the blame, but he doesn't take any positive credit for it. At least, Danzo didn't believe that his affairs would be remembered by anyone. So, what's going on with this 1,000 paper crane? Who gave it to me? Is it the figure from behind just now? Danzo recalled the figure from behind. Although he had never seen the clothes before, the figure from the back gave him a very familiar feeling. A young woman, a woman he had only recently been in contact with. Danzo's mind came to mind. Is that you? At this time, some of the accidental discoveries that Danzo had seen before gradually came to mind. Not long ago, Danzo noticed that Yuzu's hands were shaking unnaturally. He had never thought about it carefully before, but now that he thought about it, it was consistent with the origin of the 1,000 paper cranes. I'm afraid it's because she folded too many paper cranes that her hands are in this condition. However, after understanding these situations, Danzo had deeper doubts. That is, why is Uchiha Yuzu so special to herself? Yes, just as a member of the root organization, she shouldn't have such delicate thoughts, so that person must have more than her thoughts. What is her purpose? Danzo didn't intend to manage the root organization's affairs, but at this moment, he wanted to understand Uchiha Yuzu. So, after the members of the root organization arrived, he immediately asked them to call Yu. Who knew that this member of the root organization would reply like this, Danzo-sama, Yuzu has withdrawn from the root organization. This sentence, like a bolt from the blue, made Danzo stand up suddenly and said, what, she quit the root organization? For Danzo, he had considered many things, including the fact that Yuzu was actually a spy sent by Uchiha, so he would not carry out the mission of the root organization, and it was possible that he planned to have the root organization abolished. However, he had never considered the possibility of the other party leaving. After all, since Yuzu has infiltrated the root organization, it is naturally impossible for her to escape. A person who can join the root organization must be very valuable to the Uchiha clan. But, why? Why did she make such a choice? Danzo was filled with confusion. That woman, what on earth is she planning? Is she trying to attract my attention by doing this? Danzo's heart was filled with mysteries. Suddenly, he clenched his fists. Oh no, a single fist. After all, he only had one hand left. Since we can't find the reason now, just go and investigate. Danzo looked at the members of the root organization in front of him. Since Yuzu has become a member of the root organization, there will definitely be clues left in the root organization. Let me ask you, do you know Uchiha Yuzu? Hearing this, the member of the root organization was slightly startled, then lowered his head and said, Danzo-sama, I don't know. You're lying. Danzo looked directly at him and asked, you obviously hesitated just now and said, tell me everything you know about that woman. Danzo didn't expect to discover his blind spot so quickly. Since this person got flustered so quickly, he must be hiding something. However, it would be too naive to try to hide the fact that he, the leader of the root organization. I understand, Danzo-sama. In fact, they originally didn't want me to tell her about her, but since you want to know, Danzo-sama, I will tell you. About that woman Uchi, the thing about Boyu. That year, by Lake Konoha. Immediately afterwards, what Danzo heard was the setting of the woman he wanted to know. Ah no, it was a story. Uchiha Yuzu was born into the Uchiha clan. Like most Uchiha, she did not have the will of fire in her heart, only the Uchiha clan. But one day, she met someone and changed her mind. And that person is Danzo. At that time, she was attacked by rebel ninjas, and it was the members of the root organization led by Danzo who rescued her. Danzo's mood gradually fluctuated as he listened to the climactic story. He even couldn't control his emotions. It turned out that he had saved such a person before. However, maybe for Danzo, what he saved was actually just an ordinary Konoha villager, without considering the other party's identity. Of course, it is more likely that Danzo didn't want to save anyone, he just wanted to kill the rebel ninja. Saving people, being appreciated, being remembered. This feeling is a very wonderful thing for Danzo, and it was this woman he suspected that gave him such a wonderful feeling. Does he hate feeling like this? Will people be kind to themselves and not interfere with them? Will not. The same is true for Danzo. At this moment, what this woman had done in the past gradually came to mind. She is always taking care of herself silently. She didn't give herself any advice. She always believed in herself. Danzo raised his head and looked at the ceiling, wondering what he was thinking about. Most likely, what he is thinking about now is, a long time ago, he never really looked at this woman. Did she say anything when she left? Did she return to the Uchiha clan? She is dead. What? If Danzo's withdrawal from the root organization just now was a shock, then now it was as if he had heard the news like a bolt from the blue. She died. Why did she die? Isn't she still alive and well these days? Yuzu is suffering from an incurable disease, and she knows that she doesn't have much time left, so in her last moments, she hopes to take care of Danzo-sama, who once saved her, as a repayment for her life-saving kindness. Quote. Danzo fell silent. He had all kinds of emotions in his heart. If I were to say what my biggest emotion was, it would probably be the regret of never being able to see each other again. What did she say before she left? Yes, she left this for me, hoping that I would pass it on to you, Danzo-sama. The Roots member handed over a note. Danzo looked at the note, his eyes moving slightly. An idea came to his mind. Could it be possible that this note was actually this woman's plan? Yes. After all, how can a person appear to be fine and yet fall ill for no apparent reason? And how did she join the Root organization? And she is from the Uchiha clan. So weird, so weird, so weird. Although Danzo emotionally wanted to agree with what this member of the Root organization said, his rationality told him that he couldn't believe it. And he has always been a rational person. Even if he has no doubts about this matter at this moment, as long as there is a trace of possibility and a trace of uncertainty, then he, Danzo, will not believe it. Uchiha Yuzu, if you think you can calculate me in this way, then you are wrong. After all, I am the commander-in-chief of the Root organization, the former Shimura Danzo of Konoha Darkness. At this moment, a kunai suddenly shot out and pierced the note. Danzo showed a wary expression at first, but when he saw this person who suddenly appeared, he was a little surprised. This is clearly another member of the Root organization. This member of the Root organization shouted excitedly, Lord Danzo, that woman is from the Uchiha clan. What the Uchiha clan is best at is deceiving people with sweet words. Danzo-sama, don't be fooled. The Root organization member number 1 who came in suddenly showed an angry look. You people, you saw it that day, Yuzu, vomiting blood and leaving, why can you still say such things? As the Root organization, you do the members really have no feelings for their companions anymore? Why should you protect Konoha when you don't even have feelings? Shut up. That woman must be acting, she is from the Uchiha clan. How could someone from the Uchiha clan be so nice to Danzo-sama? She must be pretending. The two argued endlessly, which made Danzo feel a little headache, but he felt that both sides were right, and both sides made some sense. However, Danzo didn't know which side to believe. Emotionally, he wanted to support the side that trusted Yuzu, but rationally, he felt that he had to support the side that doubted Yuzu. Chapter 71. It can be said that these two opinions, at this moment, seemed to correspond to the two contradictory and opposing thoughts in his heart. When Danzo hesitated and sounded a little distracted. At this moment, several more members of the Root organization appeared. Danzo-sama, you cannot trust members of the Uchiha clan. That's right, Danzo-sama, you can't believe it. These members of the Root organization persuaded her earnestly, and gradually overcame the member of the Root organization who supported Yuyu at the beginning. The Root organization member seemed unable to face the accusations from everyone and fell silent. And this move finally turned the balance in Danzo's heart. That's enough, shut up. Show me the note. At this moment, Danzo was certain that this was definitely not Yuzu's plan. If it was really Yu's plan, then surely at this time, members of these Root organizations would come like a tsunami to support Yu. However, since the people in his Root organization are suspicious of Yu, it must be inferred that she has no ability to interfere with his Root organization. This is a kind of reverse derivation logic. Danzo's rationality and sensibility are finally in the same position at this time. Danzo swallowed his saliva, with an unspeakable nervousness. Except for the situation where the second Hokage asked who was going to the rear before his death, he had never encountered anything that made him feel so nervous. What words did that woman leave behind before she died? With this nervousness in mind, Danzo opened the note. Lord Danzo, when you see this note, I should not only be no longer in the Root organization, but I may not even be alive anymore. But please don't mind Danzo-sama. Although I am dead, my will always follow Danzo-sama. At the end of my life, I will still have the opportunity to take care of Danzo-sama. I am already very satisfied. I used to think that the Uchiha clan was a glorious clan, but after coming into contact with Danzo-sama, I gradually realized how pitiful our Uchiha clan is and how bad our Uchiha clan is. I hope that even after I die, Lord Danzo will not have unnecessary expectations for the Uchiha clan like us. Even if Lord Danzo destroys them, I can accept it. Finally, I don't know if Danzo-sama has regained his fighting spirit when he saw this note. However, if Danzo-sama has regained his fighting spirit, then please go to this place and find the second note I left. Note. Danzo looked at the blood-stained note and was speechless. In any case, at least he was sure of one thing. This person named Yuzu was an anti-Uchiha clan member who shared his stance. In fact, unlike the moderates like Shisui, she is a Uchiha who completely supports her anti-Uchiha clan. After a long time, Danzo finally said with a resolute expression, "You guys, take me to where this note is." "Yes, Danzo-sama," the first member of the root organization replied. The rest of the root organization members remained silent and did not speak. Danzo glanced at them subconsciously. He could see that it was obvious that these members of the root organization were the ones who didn't want to tell him about Uchiha Yuzu. However, Danzo ignored their thoughts and came to the place where the second note was buried. Before coming here, Danzo thought that this place was just a note that Yuzu hadn't finished speaking. However, when he arrived at that place, Danzo did not see the so-called note, only a box. Inside the box, there is a Rubik's Cube. Next to the building blocks is a piece of stone with a line of words engraved on it. When the Rubik's Cube is turned, something inside will open up. Danzo frowned slightly. If someone else did it, he would just treat it as a prank. But for Yuzu to do such a troublesome thing, Danzo felt more and more that this note might have an extraordinary answer. However, Danzo had never played a Rubik's Cube and only had one hand, so he asked the root organization member next to him, "Help me turn it out." "Yes, Danzo-sama." It took a while, but none of the root organization members could turn out the Rubik's Cube. So, he couldn't help but ask, "Danzo-sama, why don't you destroy the Rubik's Cube and take out the note inside?" Danzo heard this, but shook his head. Since she said to solve the Rubik's Cube, then she will solve the Rubik's Cube, and if we destroy the Rubik's Cube, we will probably destroy the note inside. "Yes, Danzo-sama." This member of the root organization continued to try to reverse it, but failed. Danzo saw that he kept failing and didn't want to continue spending time here, so he had to go back temporarily. After bringing the Rubik's Cube back, Danzo wanted to ask others to help him turn it out. At first, these root organization members readily accepted the order. However, when Danzo said that this was the Rubik's Cube left by Yuzu, these members of the root organization showed a completely different attitude. "You are confused, Danzo-sama." "Yes, you are so confused, Danzo-sama." These members of the root organization said something to me, "Danzo-sama, this is something left by the Uchiha clan. How can you just want to open it casually? Perhaps, this is actually just a trap. Danzo-sama, you must not open it. Otherwise, there might even be a detonating charm hidden inside as soon as the turn is over, and it will explode and kill you." Although what these root organization members said was not unreasonable, Danzo at this moment was more willing to believe Yuzu. After experiencing so many things, Danzo no longer wanted to doubt her. Therefore, in response to the dissuasion from the surrounding root organization members, he just shook his head and said, "I am willing to believe her." However, without the help of the root organization members, Danzo and the only root organization member who was willing to support Yuzu were obviously not good at solving the Rubik's Cube. The two struggled all night, but still couldn't turn the Rubik's Cube out and take out the note inside. Midnight, Danzo looked at the Rubik's Cube on the bed and thought to himself, "You, just wait, I will definitely turn the Rubik's Cube out, take out the note inside, and see what you want to convey to me." Naruto stretched out his right hand, and the bright red chakra of 9 tails emerged in his palm. Then, chains appeared around the chakra. These chains sealed the chakra into the scroll in front of him. Naruto took a deep breath and said, "I finally mastered the sealing technique." Naruto opened the book with some expectation. Sure enough, not only did the progress bar displayed above change to 100, but Uzumaki Kushina Mama Jinchuriki was also shown to be ready for trial summoning. "So, is it Mom?" Naruto clicked on the trial summon. Then, it was different from the previous summons. At this time, something very obvious happened to Naruto. With the click of the trial summon, a burst of chakra suddenly appeared in Naruto's body. This is different from the previous consciousness of Minato or Kushina, who only had part of the chakra, and is more complete. Chakra. In other words, it is similar to the existence of 9 tails. It was as if he had sealed his own mother within his body. This was the feeling this chakra gave Naruto. Then, a voice came directly into Naruto's mind. Where is this place? Mother. Naruto. Because Kushina in the parallel world also corresponds to his mother's identity in the parallel world, so Naruto only identified her Kushina from this answer, but is she the Kushina in this world? Mom, do you remember what happened before? Just now, were you talking about the time we punched you twice? This is my real mother, that's right. Although this method of determination is a bit strange, Naruto can be sure that this should be his real biological mother in this world. After all, he was beaten by her just a few days ago. But, what kind of state is this mother in now? Mom Jinchuriki, what is it? After thinking for a while, Naruto asked, Mom, what do you think you are now? Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Sometimes, when I put a question mark, it's not that I have a problem, but that I think you have a problem. This is how Kushina feels now. What else could she be? Of course she is your mother. Naruto thought about it and realized that there was something wrong with his words, so he explained, No, I don't want to ask Mom what you are, I want to ask, Mom, what state are you in now? We don't know, didn't you cause us to be in this state? Kushina was also confused. She didn't know what state she was in now. She thought that Naruto had tricked her out, but now that she heard it, it seemed like that wasn't the case. Although it's about me, I just borrowed the power of this book. Naruto raised the book in his hand. Kushina still knew about this book. Naruto had explained it before in the spiritual space, but since it is this book, it is true that his son may not know what state she is in. Kushina thought for a moment and then asked, Naruto, in short, although we generally don't know what state we are in, there is one thing we must do now. Naruto showed a puzzled expression. What must be done? Yes, although I don't know why we have a strong urge to ask you to do this, but now we have a sense of mission, we must let you do this. We are not kidding, this idea, it's like an instilled sense of purpose. It's like I'm here to do this. Naruto frowned slightly, thinking that this might have something to do with this book, and then asked curiously, Mom, what is the sense of mission that makes you have the urge to do this now? Quote. Let's think about it. Kushina paused for a moment, organized her words, and then said, we want you to hit someone. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. This answer was obviously a bit beyond Naruto's expectations. He originally thought that since it was a sense of mission, it should be something more in depth. But, how can this beating person have a sense of mission? Who? Everyone who bullies you. Let's teach you how to fight, and then you go beat them up. That's pretty much what it feels like. Kushina thought for a moment and then said, the sense of mission we feel is that we hope that Naruto, you can become a person who can win anyone who fights, including us. After hearing this, Naruto had a little understanding of this sense of mission. This sense of mission probably revolves around myself who summoned them. If Kushina has such a sense of mission, does the 6th generation Hinata also have it? Do the other summoned ninjas also have it? However, what Kushina said was not that embarrassing. I understand, Mom, I will learn how to fight from you. Well, since we can come out, Minato should be able to come out too, right? Let me see. Naruto opened the book, but the content that emerged inside made him frown slightly. The fragments of Minato that originally had training restrictions have not disappeared, but they have lost the progress of training and are obviously unable to practice for the time being. Mom, it doesn't seem to be possible for the time being. There should be some restrictions. After all, it is impossible to seal a dead person intact into another person's body like this. Even the Uzumaki clan, which has superb sealing skills, has never heard of anyone who can do such a thing. Kushina wasn't too disappointed either. She has come out, and Minato will definitely have a chance to come out, but the conditions are not enough now. The two discussed it for a while, but in the end there was no result, so they stopped discussing the matter. And compared to these things, Kushina obviously wants to know Naruto's living conditions more. Naruto, have you violated the 3 taboos of ninjas? You must not be like Jiraiya-sama. Naruto, do you eat well and sleep well every day? Naruto, have you met a girl you like? At first, Naruto answered a little cautiously because he had been beaten before. No, the 3 taboos of ninjas, I'm still a child now, so I can't get in touch with them. That's not necessarily true. I heard that Tsunade-sama is a habitual criminal who has loved gambling since childhood, and Jiraiya-sama is also someone who has been spying on women's bathhouses since he was a child. Although I eat well every day, because I can't cook, I can only eat instant noodles. As for sleeping, I have enough sleep every day. Sometimes I sleep too late and am late. In the future, if your mother is here, she will teach you how to cook. Although you need to sleep for a long time to develop well, as a ninja, you must have a sense of time. For example, Minato has a student named Kakashi. He is a very punctual person. You are never late, and he is the youngest Jonin in Konoha. It seems that the Kakashi you are talking about and the late King Kakashi recorded in the book that I know are not the same person. Naruto thought to himself, as for the girl I like, I used to like a girl whose personality was very similar to my mother's, but I don't like her anymore. It's okay if you don't like it. Although my mother will feel relieved if Naruto likes a girl like us. I used to think so, but now that I think about it, it's still not okay. If a girl like this comes, she will definitely beat Naruto. We think it will definitely be very unpleasant when the time comes. It's one thing to beat your own child, but it's another thing to let others beat you. Gradually, Naruto found that Kushina was not as angry as before, even if she heard about his useless things, so he started to talk more freely. It was late at night. Naruto yawned and said, "Mom, good night." Good night, Naruto. As Naruto slept, in the spiritual space, Kyuubi, who was having a great time in the ninja domain, was suddenly pulled out. Kyuubi, we have something to ask of you. Uzumaki Kushina. Is this where I want to live in the future? The red-haired little girl looked at this strange village and couldn't help but think this. There was no one she knew well here. Because, this is a village where it is almost impossible to see anyone with the same red hair as her. Kushina, who left her hometown and came here, is probably the only familiar person in this village, her fellow villager. In front of the Ninja Academy. The old man, who has the same red hair as Kushina, but the color is obviously much darker and has begun to turn gray, pointed at the Ninja Academy. Kushina, starting tomorrow, you will go to the Ninja Academy to study with other peers. Grandma Mito, is there anyone in the Ninja Academy who has red hair like us? No, that's it. Because it is a characteristic of the clan, Kushina actually likes her red hair. Because of this, Mito was the only person in the entire village whom she could feel at home with. Other than that, no one can do it. Even if they have a friendly attitude towards me, it won't work. If you don't have red hair, it won't work. Hair of other colors is not friendly. Because, they are not from the Uzumaki clan. They are just people from other villages or other families. Precisely because of the conspicuous feature of red hair, even if the Uzumaki clan established a village, it was obviously exclusive. Except for the Senju clan, who were also related by marriage, they basically could not get along with each other. Obviously, as the war has gradually withdrawn from the stage, the Senju clan, which holds important positions in Konoha, is rare in this village. Therefore, this village, which has neither the Senju clan nor the Uzumaki clan, is quite unfamiliar to Kushina, and she does not want to get close to it. However, if her peers here were willing to play with her, she wouldn't be able to agree. Kushina thought so in her heart. Kushina, do you hate playing with children who are not from the Uzumaki clan? No. If they insist on playing with us, then it's not impossible. In that case, it doesn't matter. Kushina is so cute, there will definitely be many children who want to play with you. Although she wasn't looking forward to it, Kushina couldn't help but smile when she heard this. That's right, after all, people always want to come to play with her, and she can't completely refuse, right? Although she was not boasting, her bright red hair was one of the most popular even in her hometown. Mito continued. Of course, even if we are friends, we still have to be angry when we should be angry. After all, this is what we, the Uzumaki clan, are like. Kushina didn't take this sentence to heart. After all, she is not an ignorant child and will not make things difficult for Granny Mito. Although Granny Mito is from the Uzumaki clan, she is also the wife of the first Hokage, so if she acts randomly, Granny Mito will definitely be in trouble. What's more, a child like her who is destined to be popular and has many friends, how can she have so much time to do those unnecessary things that embarrass Granny Mito? Then, with such expectation, Kushina, who clearly didn't want to admit it, but still had great expectation, ushered in her Ninja Academy career in Konoha. After a few days at the Ninja Academy, Kushina lived the life she expected. Kushina, let's play together. No, Kushina wants to play with me. No, Kushina just played with you yesterday, and she wants to play with me today. From the first day, Kushina has been competed for the chance to play by a group of people who like her hair and want to be friends with her every day. Sometimes being too popular can be an annoyance. Kushina has been thinking this every day in the past few days. But there is no way, who allowed her to have such beautiful red hair. Everyone will be fascinated, and it is natural that she will be popular. Ah, why is our hair so beautiful and attractive? In this way, Kushina lived a happy life with her friends accompanying her every day, and everyone begged her to play games together. It was strange. The scene just now was the scene she expected. The real scene was actually, look, that guy with the weird hair is alone in a daze again. What a strange hair. Sure enough, other people outside the village are very strange. The children next to her were talking a lot and commenting on her hair. Although Kushina had expectations that she shouldn't have at the beginning, the results were still far from what she imagined. Not only do the children here have nothing to do with the friendliness that Granny Mito said, but no one has any intention of getting close to her. Not only that, but they seemed to have a problem with her beautiful hair. Especially those boys who kept pointing fingers at her. Kushina picked up the bread a little frustrated and took a bite. I feel hungry when I'm angry, but I don't feel angry anymore when I'm full. There was nothing she could do. She was no longer in her hometown and had no time to entertain herself. She would have collapsed. Moreover, the Uzumaki clan is also born with a silly personality and doesn't put much thought into it. However, although her hair has been pointed at, because this is the village that Mito's mother-in-law cherishes, Kushina still endures it silently even if she lives such a life every day. After all, she is different from these children who point at her. She is a mature, elegant, sensible, well-behaved, obedient, sensible, and good child who will not embarrass Granny Mito. By the way, I finally remembered, doesn't her hair look like a tomato? Really, it really looks like a tomato. I feel so too. Kushina, who was eating bread, took a bite, chewed it, and swallowed it. Then she lowered her head and suddenly laughed. However, her laughter was not an ordinary laughter, but an emotionless laughter without any ups and downs. Upon hearing this, you will feel that this person must be angry. Kushina hopes to be a good baby, at least not to embarrass Granny Mito. However, Granny Mito also said another thing. Yes, Granny Mito also said that sometimes, when you should be angry, you should be angry. This is the Uzumaki clan. After all, we are also from the Uzumaki clan, a serious family. Don't you think so, our friends? In short, the translation is, I can't stand your MB. Kushina knew that violence could not solve any problem. So she doesn't intend to use violence to solve the problem. Kushina knows this very well, so she just solves all the sources of violent impulses in her, so that her violent behavior can be completely eliminated, so that she does not use violence to solve problems. How dare you hit me? Even my mother has never hit me before. We beat you because we treat you as a friend. Tomato. Let us grow tomatoes on you. It's Tomatina. Are you the next good friend who will be beaten into a tomato by us? I don't know how long the fight lasted, and I don't know how many people were beaten. When she came back to her senses, Kushina stood unscathed on top of a pile of corpses made up of students. She pointed to the sky with one hand and said, "We are invincible." Sure enough, there is really no one who can only point and point. At this moment, Kushina's peripheral vision noticed that there was another fish that had slipped through the net. When she realized that someone was watching her actions, she felt that her gesture of raising her hands just now was a bit embarrassing, but she quickly glared at him fiercely. since this person is staying, is it possible that he also wants to fight with her? Just hit it, isn't it just to create another tomato? However, the opponent just raised his hands in embarrassment, indicating that he had no intention of fighting. Kushina looked at this person, she was somewhat impressed. Although he is in the same class, he is different from her. He looks like a very weak boy, not like a boy. Maybe, compared to myself, he is more like a girl, right? Of course, what attracted Kushina's attention to this person was not just his bad qualities, but his effeminate character. There was something good about this person that attracted Kushina's attention. That place is where this person, like her, also has special hair. However, he does not have red hair, but blonde hair. Although the other person has blonde hair and she has red hair, it sounds like they are incompatible with each other, but in this class, and even in this village, these two kinds of hair are extremely special and rare. However, unlike Kushina, this person has not received much criticism, and he is also very popular in the class. After thinking about it, Kushina also wanted to understand, and she could only think that maybe people in this village liked cute boys, but not girls like her who were well behaved, cute and had beautiful red hair. This made Kushina a little angry, cold, and trembling. However, these have nothing to do with what Kushina wants to do now. Now that these people have been dealt with, should we also deal with this person? Then, Kushina gave up on the idea. Forget it. Kushina felt her stomach. She was a little hungry, so she had better go eat first. She still wanted to fill her stomach more than fighting with someone who was not hostile for the time being. Moreover, this person has never pointed at her hair, so let him go. Kushina jumped down from the crowd and prepared to leave. At this moment, the blonde child said, "Well, my name is." However, by this time, Kushina had already gone far. Although the other party seemed to want to get to know her before giving her name, Kushina was not interested in anyone from the Konoha villagers other than Mito's mother-in-law. Anyway, except for Granny Mito, everyone in this village must have opinions about her hair. She didn't want to be friendly with such a group of people. No matter it's this or that, she is the most annoying person in this village, except Granny Mito. Kushina, you really made a scene. As the wife of the first Hokage, Mito's status in Konoha is very special, but Kushina is also of the same race as her, so when she heard her do such a thing, to be honest, she still had a headache. However, Mito not only did not accuse Kushina, but even supported her idea. After all, she is also from the Uzumaki clan and has the same bright red hair. If she hadn't been older now and couldn't hold a sword or chop people without using Kushina, she would have beaten the parents of these people herself. But understanding is understanding, and Mito doesn't think it's the best way to maintain good relationships with other people. Kushina looked at Granny Mito who had a headache and felt a little regretful. However, thinking that those people kept making fun of her hair, she secretly clenched her fists. Even if it happened again, she still wanted to beat these people. Kushina, the village may be in danger recently, please be careful. Yes, Granny Mito. Kushina didn't take Mito's advice to heart. After all, this is Konoha's base camp, what else could happen? Then, she was caught. The arrest of Kushina, who would replace Mito and become the container of the new Nine-Tails Jinchuriki in the future, soon caused chaos in Konoha. After the third Hokage learned the news, he quickly sent people to rescue them. However, let's not mention how these people came in. Now the third Hokage doesn't even know their whereabouts at all. Although Kushina is the future Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, she has not already become one, so her protection is not strong to begin with. The other party may also take a fancy to this and attack Kushina. Moreover, some ninjas were resentful because their children were beaten in the academy. I think it's okay if we can't save him. Anyway, we can find other members of the Uzumaki clan. Yes, and I think this child is also dangerous. Discussions like this were carried out quietly among some ninjas. They felt that since only the Uzumaki clan could be used as a container, it would be acceptable to change to another Uzumaki clan. This person has a bad temper, change him to someone with a good temper. Mito listened to the whispered discussion of some ninjas and suppressed his anger. Now, what matters is Kushina's safety. Hiruzen, have you caught me? There is no news yet, but with such a long distance and unknown whereabouts, it is very possible. Although the third Hokage didn't say it, his meaning was actually very obvious, and I'm afraid Kushina wouldn't be able to pursue it. After all, it was their first time to hand over the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, so they were obviously not well prepared. However, the third Hokage remembered one more thing at this time. Speaking of which, there was a student from the Ninja Academy who seemed to have chased him. It's no use. Mito asserted that other Chunin and even Junin ninjas could not be found. What could the students of the Ninja Academy do? There is a gap in experience between the two. Maybe some Ninja Academy students are very strong, but no matter how strong they are, their experience is definitely not as good as that of official ninjas. What's difficult about this time is not defeating the enemy, but the fact that their whereabouts are unknown. You can't even confirm the opponent's whereabouts. No matter how powerful you are, it's useless if you can't display it. Of course, the enemy cannot send too strong a ninja. After all, going deep into the hinterland of Konoha, and the target is only a student of the Ninja Academy. Such a thing is dangerous and does not require too strong combat power, so there is no need to waste too strong ninjas. However, without considerable strength, it would be impossible to escape the detection of Konoha ninjas and come here to take away people. Therefore, the most likely possibility is that spies existed before. The two thought so. However, this judgment is of no other help to the current situation. Before being kidnapped, because it was a sneak attack, Kushina didn't even know what was happening. When she woke up, she was already far away from Konoha. However, this is what Kushina let these ninjas who kidnapped her think. In fact, Kushina had actually recovered a long time ago, and she recovered when she first left Konoha. The bodies of the Uzumaki clan are relatively strong, and she is no exception, so she recovered very early. However, the opponent was large in number and an official ninja, so she did not fight. Although they are very nervous, the Uzumaki clan is surprisingly talented in combat. Although Kushina didn't like people in Konoha, she didn't want to be kidnapped to other places, so she left some things behind, hoping that people in Konoha could see and notice her along the way. Since her hair is so annoying, then, as soon as you see it, you should be able to immediately find that it is the one left by the person with the most annoying hair, so you can definitely find her whereabouts quickly. Although leaving her hair for such a reason made Kushina very unhappy, but compared to this feeling, she did not want to be taken to a place where there was not even a single member of the clan. Her life in Konoha has already been like this. If she went to another place where even Mito's mother-in-law was not around, her life would definitely be even more miserable. Kushina thought as she left her hair along the path as a mark. However, as time went by, Kushina gradually gave up. After all, at this distance, how could he still catch up? She didn't know if she should be grateful that her hair wasn't as annoying as the villagers of Konoha imagined. Just when Kushina was about to give up and continue throwing her hair, a golden light suddenly appeared in front of her eyes, and before she could recover, she had been taken away. "It's you. Why do you know we are here?" After Kushina asked, she felt that her words were a bit redundant. After all, isn't there a sufficient reason to come here? It was because of the discovery of her hair. And the reason for discovering her hair must be, hating her hair like everyone else. Didn't you leave some hair on the ground? With such beautiful hair, there's no way I couldn't miss it. Such beautiful hair, beautiful hair, beautiful. Kushina didn't realize it. How long had it been since she met someone who complimented her hair like this? Kushina raised her head and looked at the boy who was still holding her. "By the way, I forgot to introduce myself last time." "It's not that you forgot to introduce yourself, it's that we didn't listen to your self-introduction. My name is. However, this time, we will remember your name well. Because you are the first person in Konoha to compliment me on my beautiful hair, except Granny Mito. Is your name Minato Namikaze?" "Minato Namikaze, we will remember this name." Maybe not to the extent that she will never forget it in her lifetime, but Kushina feels that she will definitely not forget this name for a long time. Then, Kushina gradually got to know this person. This man named Namikaze Minato is the one who will compete with her to become Hokage in the future. And becoming a Hokage also means becoming a person who treats the villagers as family. Eventually, he became Hokage, and Kushina became his wife. Yes, after her husband became Hokage, it also meant that for him, the entire village had become something like family. Therefore, some things, even if you understand them, must be endured. But, Granny Mito also taught me. The style of the Uzumaki clan is to be angry when you should be angry. Kyuubi, we need your chakra, lend it to us. Kyuubi heard this and smiled cruelly. Does this woman still think it is still in her body? It was no longer the Kyuubi inside her body. Lend her chakra, only in dreams. Kushina, just dream. Even if I die, I won't lend you chakra. What I hate most is your chakra. We have always regarded Kyuubi as a friend. Because we are friends, if our friends have any requests, we can also ask our son to help him, such as Ninjago. Quote. What are you talking about, Kushina? How much chakra do you want? I can borrow it if you can. What is our relationship? Good friends. How can the relationship between a Jinchuriki and a tailed beast be that of our friends? Close. But didn't you just say that we were dreaming? Sorry, I didn't wake up and talked in my sleep. Kyuubi changed his attitude honestly. This chakra thing is no big deal, he lacks everything except chakra in Kyuubi. If his old friend brings it up, he will naturally not refuse. We are going to take over Naruto's body now, you can lend me chakra later. With Naruto's body, what do you want to do with his body? Beat the Hokage. Quiet, quiet. The 6th generation Hinata came to Naruto's room again. Well, Naruto-kun is sleeping and can safely steal his chakra. At this time, Naruto's whole body suddenly emitted a large amount of chakra. Seeing that the situation was not right, the 6th generation Hinata had already slipped away. Huge chakra spread out, but it was not Kyuubi's chakra, but Kushina's chakra. Kushina's chakra wrapped Naruto's body, completely covering Naruto's chakra and face before she stood up. Although it is not her own body, she is now sealed in Naruto's body, equivalent to a 9-tails existence. Therefore, unless there is a seal that restricts her movement, she can emit her own chakra and take over Naruto, physical. Of course, because she is only a human and not a tailed beast, if Naruto is awake, chakra will naturally fight against her, and she will be almost powerless to stop him. But now, first Naruto has no restrictions and second Naruto is still sleeping, so naturally she can do whatever she wants. Since she didn't know when Naruto would wake up, Kushina decided to make a quick decision. Kushina jumped out of the window with a slight jump, and moved between rooms with amazing agility. As a Hokage, the 3rd Hokage has no other family members except for a grandson who is taken care of. In addition, Hokage's work is already very busy, so he rarely goes home. After all, unlike the 4th Hokage, a flying thunder god technique can complete the round trip in the blink of an eye. As a Hokage, he often fails to take care of his family, and the 3rd generation of Hokage is almost the same. Because of this, his second son left the village to serve as the protector of the fire country. For some reason, the 3rd Hokage felt a little uneasy tonight. The moonlight is obviously pretty good tonight. Is it the Namikaze clan from before? The 3rd Hokage thinks this is the most likely. However, the matter with the Namikaze clan should have come to an end. While the 3rd Hokage was thinking, there was a sudden movement outside. The 3rd Hokage was shocked at first, then relaxed. It's you, come out. As the 3rd Hokage's voice fell, a middle-aged man with white hair came in from the window. Since the death of the 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato in the battle, Jiraiya has not returned to the village for a long time. This time, it was also because of the appearance of the Namikaze clan under the banner of the Minato clan that Jiraiya rushed back temporarily after receiving the news. Over the years, Jiraiya has been monitoring Orochimaru, and because of Minato's relationship and Naruto's identity that cannot be exposed, there are almost no people or things that he can come into contact with in this village. Tsunade left the village, Orochimaru defected, and Minato died in the battle. If we want to talk about someone who is still familiar with Jiraiya in the village, then I am afraid that the only one who is the 3rd generation Hokage is the teacher. However, Minato's death in battle made Jiraiya complain about the 3rd Hokage, even though he knew that the problem was not with the 3rd Hokage. However, compared to these things, the Namikaze clan made Jiraiya even more curious. These are information about the Minato family. Although Minato has no direct relatives, he does have a family, but the relationship is not close and the scale is not large. They have even left the world of ninjas. Upon hearing this, the third Hokage immediately took the information and started reading it. Although it was slightly different from what he knew, the difference was not big. Based on this information, it was almost certain that the Namikaze clan had probably never had any contact with Minato. If it's not Minato's family, then who is it? At this time, the third Hokage recalled the information that the other party had deliberately disclosed before. Jiraiya, the other party had revealed the names of Hashirama and Madara during the battle. Do you think this matter will be related to those two related? Jiraiya thought for a moment. Although I want to say that the age difference is too different, it is impossible, but if it is those two people, then it cannot be said to be impossible. The god of ninja, and his rival, Madara Uchiha. If it were these two, then even the greatest impossibility might become possible. If it's really these two, we'll be in trouble. Even though they are not from the same era, the reputation of those two people is feared by all ninjas who have survived from that era. The reason why the Ninja World War broke out was because of Hashirama's death. Jiraiya, I leave it to you to investigate this matter. Jiraiya nodded, and then prepared to say goodbye to the third Hokage. Since there is nothing wrong, I will go and pay homage to Minato. The third Hokage saw his businesslike appearance and knew his resentment, so he just smiled bitterly and said nothing. Suddenly, Jiraiya asked before leaving, Minato's child, can I go see him? Now that you're here, let's go, but the third Hokage did not continue. Jiraiya understood. I know, I won't reveal his identity. Before coming, Jiraiya had already prepared things. So, he went straight to Minato's grave. Jiraiya sat cross-legged on the ground, looking at the tombstone, his face filled with inexplicable vicissitudes of life. Minato, long time no see, the teacher is here to see you. So many years have passed since then. As for your son, because you promised to hide his identity before you died, the teacher has not had contact with him for so many years. Although life was not smooth, at least I grew up safely. Regarding Naruto, Jiraiya actually knew little about it. After all, he had been away all these years and only knew the situation from the news given by the village. However, there was news from time to time in the village, and they did not hide that Naruto's situation was not very good. Of course, it was just news, so Jiraiya didn't actually experience the extent of this disadvantage. However, Jiraiya's own life was not smooth, so even after hearing this news, he actually accepted it. In this era, how could a ninja live a smooth life? His forbearance is perseverance. This time, some powerful ninjas came to the village and wanted to influence Naruto in your name. Although I may not be able to fight them, I will not let them hurt Naruto at the risk of my life. This was actually the biggest reason for Jiraiya to return to the village. He didn't contact Naruto because he didn't want to reveal his identity, and the task of monitoring Orochimaru was difficult for anyone else except him. However, if Naruto's life is really in danger, then he must come back even if he temporarily puts aside his surveillance mission. Jiraiya sat quietly in front of Minato's grave for a while and was about to go back when an extremely powerful chakra suddenly appeared in the village. Jiraiya stood up in surprise. This is Kyuubi's chakra. Oops, did those people take action against Naruto? Jiraiya quickly stood up and rushed towards the village. As Kushina moved between rooms, she quickly attracted the attention of the shinobi patrolling Konoha. However, she seemed not to notice and allowed these ninjas to follow them. These ninjas soon attracted Konoha's Anbu. Kushina, why don't you get rid of them? The Kyuubi inside Naruto asked curiously. It can be seen from Kushina's actions that she is obviously much stronger than these ninjas. Before being in Naruto's body, Kushina was the previous container of the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, so the Nine Tails could not be unfamiliar with her strength. At this time, it seemed that Kushina didn't intend to hurt them, but she didn't intend to throw them away. This feeling was more like almost. Kushina stopped and wrapped her chakra around Naruto, forming a form similar to her size. As Kushina stopped, the hair-shaped chakra around her seemed to float in the wind at this moment. Since Kushina's death, almost no one has seen the fighting methods of the nine-tailed Jinchuriki of the Uzumaki clan who has the inheritance of the Uzumaki clan. Even before she became the nine-tailed Jinchuriki, Kushina was a powerful person who could defeat all the students at the Ninja Academy to the point where they didn't dare to laugh at her. Because, unlike Naruto, she is from the Uzumaki clan who inherited the Uzumaki sealing technique. Even in the original version, Uzumaki Kaoru, who only played the support position, was young, and had not been taught much, still amazed the audience when she played control. And Kushina, not only received the guidance of the real Uzumaki clan, but also was taught by Mito. Even if she is not a nine-tailed Jinchuriki, her strength cannot be underestimated. Now, she not only possesses the complete sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan, but she is also the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. How is her strength? Kushina stopped and began to form seals. Immediately afterwards, chains emerged from her body, locking up the Anbu ninjas who were approaching. Then, Kushina whispered, "Kyuubi, chakra. Interesting, I like your approach, take it." Kushina opened her right hand, her body emitting golden light, and terrifying chakra condensed in her hand. This move is called the Tailed Beast Cannon, and it has a weakened version called the Rasengan. Use the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan to steadily control the enemy's movements, and then attack with the powerful destructive power of the Jinchuriki. This is what Uzumaki Mito personally taught, the standard fighting method of the nine-tailed Jinchuriki of the Uzumaki clan. The tailed beast blasted out. Almost all Anbu ninjas were wiped out. However, Kushina had no intention of killing people. She just wanted to beat people up, not kill people. Although she wanted to kill someone, she couldn't because this was the village where Minato had been Hokage. After all the Anbu were eliminated with one shot, Kushina moved towards the location of the third Hokage as if she was in no one's land. At this time, the third Hokage had jumped to the roof and looked here. With such a big thing happening, he naturally couldn't sit still. The third Hokage channeled his own ninja beast, then transformed it into a stick and held it in his hand. The other party came with bad intentions, and was obviously different from the previous two members of the Namikaze clan. He was already ready for battle. Combat is imminent, but at this moment, a figure stood in front of the third Hokage, and it was Jiraiya. Although Jiraiya now has some complaints about the third Hokage, this does not affect him from taking the initiative to fight against those who threaten the Hokage, and after all, they are also his teachers. Gamabunta fell from the sky, and Jiraiya, who was sitting on it, looked at the figure attacking him. Sure enough, it's Kyuubi's chakra. Not only that gesture, it's hard not to think of the changes that occurred after the Jinchuriki and the tailed beasts reached a consensus. This was not only the Kyuubi's chakra, but the Kyuubi's chakra manifested in the form of a Jinchuriki. This was what Jiraiya observed. Besides that, this person gave Jiraiya a weird feeling. Familiar, the chakra on her body made Jiraiya feel familiar. This person must be someone he knows, but who is it? Who are you and why are you attacking Konoha? Kushina didn't answer. Seeing that it was Jiraiya who intercepted her, her mood was a little complicated. Before this, she had not expected that Jiraiya would be here. At the same time, Kushina did not want to fight Jiraiya. However, if he didn't beat the third Hokage today, he might not have such a chance if he was prepared in the future. Therefore, after thinking about it, Kushina suddenly said, "Jiraiya-sama, it's us." If necessary, Kushina can reveal her identity. As a woman who calls herself, Jiraiya has only been in contact with one person. However, it couldn't be that person was already dead. No way, you can't be her. It's just us. Jiraiya-sama, please get out of the way, we won't kill the third Hokage, and we haven't killed the other Anbu either, we just want to beat him up. Jiraiya frowned slightly. Although he didn't know who this person was, she was definitely not Kushina. What's more, even if it's Kushina, he can't get out of the way. He said he was beating him, but what if he was actually killed? No, we understand, then, Jiraiya-sama, we will defeat you first and then pass. Kushina also knew that Jiraiya would not believe her so easily, but since Jiraiya insisted on blocking, Kushina could only defeat him and get over it. As for Jiraiya, he had already prepared for battle. Benta Gamabunta sighed a little. Jiraiya, it's been a long time since you summoned me. I didn't expect that this time it would be such a battle. This is Kyuubi's chakra, and it's not even a little bit. The amount leaked is quite huge. Gamabunta would rather fight the other ninja beasts from the three holy places than fight the tailed beasts. The two are not on the same level at all, even if they are similar in size. However, it was only the Kyuubi's chakra and not the Kyuubi itself, so Gamabunta was still within the combatable range. Sorry, Mrs. Wen, I'll treat you to a drink next time. At this point, Gamabunta had no choice but to fight. After all, he was different from Wanji in that he was a loyal ninja beast. That's a deal. The battle between Jiraiya and Kushina is about to break out. Jiraiya's expression was also more serious than ever before. Against someone who could control such a huge nine-tails chakra and use the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan, even Jiraiya felt that it would be difficult for him to escape unscathed this time, and injuries were inevitable. However, he is still confident that he can win in the end. After all, he went all out, and even if he was an opponent at the level of Hokage, he was sure to fight on equal terms. Facing such an opponent, Jiraiya did not dare to be careless and prepared to summon two Toad Sages, and then enter Sage mode to confront the opponent in perfect fighting condition. However, before that, Jiraiya still needs to understand the ninjutsu mastered by the other party. Before understanding the opponent's ninjutsu, don't reveal your own trump card. Gamabunta understood the idea and drew out his sword first, slashing at Kushina. Kushina frowned slightly, then jumped up to avoid it. With the addition of Nine Tails mode, her teleportation technique can reach a very high level. Kushina was in the air, forming seals with her hands, and the chains stretched out from her body, locking Gamabunta, and then stretched out towards Jiraiya. However, Jiraiya was already prepared, and the substitute technique avoided her sealing technique. As for Gamabunta, he was tied up tightly. Jiraiya lifted the psychic spell and let Gamabunta go back. Before going back, Gamabunta warned, Jiraiya, be careful, this is the genuine sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan. Even for a ninja of Jiraiya's level, the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan is still a very dangerous ninjutsu. Although I had just learned some of the characteristics of this person's ninjutsu from the information of other ninjas watching the battle, and speculated that it might be the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan, but now that he had actually fought, Jiraiya was convinced of this information. Since this person used the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan, could she be a survivor of the Uzumaki clan that still existed after the country was destroyed? But that's not right. Why would a simple survivor possess the Kyuubi's chakra? But Jiraiya looked serious, no matter what the other person's intentions were. There was no way he would let her do whatever she wanted. Now that the opponent's ninjutsu ability has been determined, the next step is to confront him head-on. In this regard, Jiraiya is still very confident. In his Sage mode, with the assistance of two Toad Sages, one person, two Psychic Beasts, and three Sages, even the third-generation Hokage, who was well known to Jiraiya at his peak, might overturn. Of course, he couldn't last long in this fighting state, and the physical strength of the two Toad Immortals was also limited, so it was impossible to fight side by side with him all the time. However, even so, it is enough to deal with most enemies. Jiraiya looked solemn, ready to start his peak state. But at this moment, Kushina's chakra suddenly changed, and at the same time, her expression also changed. Because Naruto woke up. Although Kushina expected that fighting would probably wake Naruto up, she didn't expect him to wake up so quickly. But that's right, after all, this was Naruto's body. Even if it's sleepwalking, it's almost a continuous somersault. It's strange that he still can't wake up. It seems that I can only give up. Kushina thought a little regretfully. After all, Naruto definitely didn't want her to beat up the third Hokage. Moreover, her opponent is Master Jiraiya, who is Minato's teacher. If possible, Kushina doesn't want to fight him. Who knew? At this moment, I heard Naruto say, "Mom, let me think of a solution for this battle." Kushina was stunned at first, and then control of her body was taken away by Naruto. After Naruto took control of his body, Kushina's chakra did not recede and still enveloped him. From the outside, no change could be seen. Seeing that Naruto had taken control of her body, Kushina didn't try to take it back. In fact, she couldn't take it back. Naruto, what are you going to do? Mom wants to beat someone, and I want to help you beat someone. Mom also said before that she wants to teach me how to beat someone. Naruto replied, quickly formulating a strategy. In fact, if the opponent is Jiraiya, then if he actually uses that ninjutsu, it will definitely be effective. However, Jiraiya has a Sage mode, and there are two other Toad Sages standing on his shoulders. In that state, even if Naruto could use that ninjutsu to create an opening for an attack, it was actually impossible to attack him. Unless Jiraiya's actions can be restricted. Mom, can the Uzumaki clan's sealing technique temporarily seal Jiraiya's actions? Yes, but Jiraiya-sama is very agile. Even if I use the sealing technique, I can't catch him. Unless I can make him stand there obediently and not move, and let me catch him. I understand, Mom, I will give my body to you, and you will act according to my ideas later. I plan to do this. After hearing this plan, Kushina said a little subtly, Naruto, are you sure that Lord Jiraiya will fall into such a move? Although he is a little bit of a person, this is fighting, how could he do it for this kind of thing? Shakes things up. Naruto said with certainty, normally, it won't happen, but if it's that person, it will definitely happen. We understand. Anyway, let's try as you say. If we don't succeed, we will retreat. Before Kushina came, she never thought about meeting Jiraiya. Compared with the elderly third-generation Hokage, although Jiraiya is not young, he is actually still close to his peak condition. Kushina could defeat the third Hokage without killing him, but if it was Jiraiya, it would be difficult for her to hold back. After all, Jiraiya's agility is not comparable to that of today's third Hokage. However, the plan Naruto mentioned is indeed worth trying. On Naruto's side, mother and son made a tactical plan. Jiraiya on the opposite side was also ready to fight. His eyes began to change, taking on the obvious signs of sage mode. At the same time, two old toads like dolls appeared on their backs. Jiraiya-chan actually summoned us, and it's still in Konoha. It seems that we have encountered a pretty incredible opponent. Two sages, please. In this battle, the opponent not only has the chakra of the Kyuubi, but also can use the sealing technique of the Uzumaki clan, please be careful. When the two Toad Immortals heard this, they became vigilant and put away their somewhat casual attitude at first. Although they had never encountered this kind of opponent, the first two generations of Konoha's nine-tailed Jinchuriki had already demonstrated how powerful this combination was. After entering the sage mode and summoning the two sages, Jiraiya can be said to be fully prepared. He had taken all the precautions he should have. All that's left is to have a fun battle. The third Hokage, should we go to support Lord Jiraiya? By this time, Konoha's Anbu had arrived at the scene. In response to their questions, the third Hokage shook his head and said, this is not a battle that you can intervene in. If there is an opponent that Jiraiya can't handle, then even if you go up, you will only die. The third Hokage knew that when Jiraiya summoned the two immortals to enter the immortal mode, it was also the time when he fully exerted his strength. If even Jiraiya in this state was defeated, then it would be difficult for anyone in Konoha to subdue this person in a one-on-one situation. However, the third Hokage had confidence in Jiraiya. What's more, judging from the fight between the two just now, the third Hokage is confident that Jiraiya can win. Even though his strength is not as good as before, the third Hokage's vision has not weakened. At this moment, the two began to fight. However, the result of the battle was beyond the expectations of the third Hokage. Why is it this kind of ninjutsu again? As he shouted these words, the third Hokage lay on his back and fell down with nosebleeds spurting out. First test, Sage Mode, 2 Sages. Although Jiraiya had tried everything that could affect the battle, he was still shocked when he saw the opponent's ninjutsu with his own eyes. Kushina formed a seal with her hands, but she was actually a little uneasy. Can this kind of ninjutsu really be useful? Although Jiraiya-sama is an old pervert, no matter how old a pervert he is, it is impossible. Special color for Jiraiya lure technique. The smoke dispersed, and Tsunade was posing one after another, saying words that made people's blood rush to Jiraiya. Because Tsunade was someone Naruto had never met before, he changed hands to Kushina here and just formulated corresponding tactics. Even Jiraiya-sama, it is impossible for him to lose his fighting ability due to the temptation of his former teammates during the battle. Kushina thought this while releasing the chain of the sealing technique, and then the panicked voices of the two immortals. Jiraiya-chan, move quickly. Jiraiya, move quickly. Don't stop, Jiraiya-chan. Oops, the sealing technique is coming. It's over. Hope is gone. When Jiraiya came to his senses, he had been locked by the chains of the Uzumaki clan's sealing technique. Kushina didn't know what to say. Anyway, knocked Jiraiya down with one punch first. Jiraiya opened his eyes wide and looked at the fist in front of him. There was only one thought left in his mind. It's too hard for me, Jiraiya. He thought Jiraiya was upright, but he couldn't bear it when his crush dressed up in a seductive way. This can't be blamed on him at all, but because the other party is too despicable. Old man, I'm sorry, but I really tried my best. With a bang, Jiraiya was hit by the fist and fell to the ground. Before he fell, he had a very high smile on his lips, as if he was still reminiscing about the scene he just saw. After Jiraiya fell, the two immortals also turned into smoke and released the psychic spell. Kushina looked at Jiraiya who fell to the ground, and felt that it was lucky that Naruto was not taken care of by him, otherwise, he would have turned into a little pervert. Think about Naruto secretly hiding strange books under the bed. So, Minato, what kind of master do you have? However, Kushina looked at the fallen Jiraiya and still said to Naruto, Naruto, although mother wants to teach you to beat people, Master Jiraiya is. Even though Jiraiya was defeated now, Kushina still didn't want Naruto to treat Jiraiya as an enemy. I know, Mom, you don't need to explain. In fact, even if it was me just now, I didn't intend to really hurt Grandpa Jiraiya. Naruto was telling the truth. At least, even from the book, Naruto still has a good impression of this grandfather-like figure he has never met. Apart from being a little horny, there are basically no shortcomings. He is just a little horny, well, just a little bit horny. Just shortcomings. Well, love is really a big shortcoming. After taking care of Jiraiya-sama, no one else will show up. Kushina raised her head and looked at the third Hokage who was standing in the Hokage's office and looking at her. Oh no, the third Hokage had fallen. Kushina looked at the third Hokage who fell to the ground, and slowly asked a question, as the third Hokage pretending to be dead. She hadn't even started fighting yet, so why did she fall? Could it be that he was accidentally killed in the aftermath of the battle just now? But that shouldn't be the case. Even if he is old, with the strength of the Hokage, it is impossible to be defeated by the aftermath of their battle, right? But, looking at the blood on the ground, could it be that he was really injured in the aftermath of their battle just now? Naruto thought for a while and didn't know how to speak. It can't be said that he is an old pervert who can catch the sight of his apprentice, Say, as well as Grandpa Jiraiya, right? In the end, Naruto could only find him a more decent way to lose. Maybe Grandpa Jiraiya was killed instantly and he felt angry. After all, people will always have some problems as they get older, such as high blood pressure and so on. After Kushina thought for a while, she added, that's right. If we see Minato's version of the seduction technique and are killed instantly, Granny Mito will definitely be very angry. Although my son said that he was not good at fighting in school, the ninjutsu he developed seems to be a little bit powerful. Kushina thought so. Mom, isn't your metaphor a bit subtle? Naruto complained in his mind, and then said to Kushina, anyway, Mom, do you want to continue beating people? Of course, but I have something I want to say next that I don't want you to hear, Naruto. Can you take a nap first? It is good. Although he was a little curious, Naruto still gave Kushina enough privacy. Kushina took over Naruto's body and walked step by step towards where the third Hokage was. She pulled out the kunai and placed it on the third Hokage's neck, making a somewhat angry voice. Now, as long as we do this, we can kill you, old man. But, even though we are very angry, it is impossible for us to do such a thing. Kushina sighed and put the kunai away. Third generation old man, you must not know why we are angry. Because Naruto wasn't educated well. Because Naruto's identity is being concealed. Because Naruto is treated coldly by the rest of the village. Although we are also angry about this, it is not incomprehensible. We have experienced similar things before, so we are not angry to this extent yet. What Naruto experienced, Kushina, as a Jinchuriki, also experienced similar things. Of course, Kushina's situation at that time was definitely much better than Naruto's. However, like this, if it was just the only way to be a Jinchuriki, then Kushina wouldn't be angry. She didn't even have any plan, and just came here to prepare to beat the third Hokage. The reason for her anger was something else. But, Mr. Sandame, although you think the things you have done are right and in line with Minato's last wish, why do you want Naruto to become Hokage? Letting Naruto cherish the dream of becoming Hokage was what made Kushina the most angry. An orphan and a low-income child would want to become Hokage for no reason. Dream it. It must have been guided by someone. As a Jinchuriki and a male, it's not surprising that Naruto was led in this way. After all, according to Konoha's tradition, he will either become Hokage or his wife will become Hokage in the future. The same was true for the previous 2 generations. I clearly didn't teach him his strength properly, but he gave him such a dream to become Hokage. Even a talented ninja like Minato, a powerful ninja, must not sacrifice himself after becoming Hokage. As strong as Minato, there are times when he has to sacrifice himself when faced with the crisis in the village. And Naruto, he is just a loser. Why do you want to instill in him the idea of becoming Hokage? Minato wants to be Hokage, and we have also thought about being Hokage, but both Minato and we have been carefully trained since childhood. But Naruto, he is a Jinchuriki, but he has not received any such training, education. They want to become Hokage because they have capital and they have received a good education. Before Minato became a genin, he was already the number 1 in the Ninja Academy. And Kushina was trained as a 9-tailed Jinchuriki. However, what did Naruto have? The crux of the cultural class. The crane tail of the college. A Ninja Academy student who is hung up and beaten every day. A Ninja Academy student who didn't even know the 3-body technique before getting that book. He's just such a person. He's still the Jinchuriki of the 9 tails. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.